Next question comes from Jessica Ravane, who asks, would it be possible to change the SBMM system to be more skill-based and not based on kills and escapes? I know you could talk about this all day, so I'm going to cut you off if it goes
Yeah,
too long.
yeah. I've got some notes here, but I'm desperately trying to keep it brief.
So here it is, boys. Here's the answer that we have all been waiting for. The most important question in this entire broadcast, and look how uncomfortable our boy Patrick is. Boy, oh boy, would you want to be him right now? Imagine sitting in that chair as he is right there, trying to explain this system in a few seconds. I don't envy it.
Early on.
So, the reason I paused and put a cut there is I've had 5 days to read all the memes, all the craziness, everything, all the tweets. Well, I haven't read everything, but like I've pretty much just been sitting on the sidelines and watching everything unfold. Looking at it from both sides, from people who, I don't know, don't really feel the need to go after Patrick, which, I mean, I don't think you should. I just think you should put out your opinion and that's it. Because ultimately, the devs need to know as many of our opinions as possible, whether it be on the forums or wherever else, because I'm sure that these guys definitely are paying attention to everything that everybody says. It shows on how they take criticism, and so I would assume that they take their job, literally all of their jobs basically entail listening to the community and making changes based on that feedback. So if they want their game to be successful, which it has been for so long, it's because they've listened to us. And so putting that into perspective on this answer is paramount, because the answer that he gives is what everybody is going to look at, and from this point forward until another dev Q&A or another explanation, we're going to have to think about and stew on. So it's like, I just didn't see how the analogy thing, the hockey analogy, was the best way to explain this huge thing that literally everybody in your community dislikes and talks about constantly. Whether they're streaming, whether they're doing videos on it, whatever, on forums, everything. This is all that people want to talk about is SBMM. Everybody has an opinion on it. And so hinging all of that and condensing it down into like a 30-second answer is crazy. And I don't envy him whatsoever. But at the same time, you have to sit and think and stew for a little while and be like, how can I put this in the best possible light to make people understand? Because if this is his best, I don't know if he's right for this position at lead game design, whatever, dude. But at least like maybe find somebody who's better at explaining it or something. But if he's a lead game designer, there is nobody that's better at explaining it than him. So it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So I'll let him go ahead and get into it, and then I will express my opinions on it. I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard everything else anyways, but I'll just go ahead since you're here and put my 2 cents in on it as well.
Next question comes from Jessica Ravane, who asks, would it be possible to change the SBMM system to be more skill-based and not based on kills and escapes? I know you could talk about this all day, so I'm going to cut you off if it goes too long.
Yeah, I've got some notes here, but I'm desperately trying to keep it brief. So I'll please understand I am simplifying some things here. Don't read too much into every detail I'm saying. I'm trying to keep this brief. But there's a common misconception that by using just kills and escapes to adjust your MMR, it's ignoring skill in the game. This isn't the truth, though. This is false. Kills and escapes are proxies for skill, in that skilled play inherently leads to kills or escapes. Think about sports, and I'll use hockey as an example because I'm Canadian. You wouldn't say they only count wins when placing teams in the standing.
So basically, he can just leave this hockey analogy out of it. If you listen to the first 10 seconds of his explanation, that's really all you need to know. That kills and escapes, in their opinion, they don't care about how you feel, how your mom feels, how your grandma feels, how your brother feels, how your best friend feels, how your sister feels. They don't care. In their opinion, the dev's opinion, the least common denominator, where you boil it down, the best proxy for skill in this game is escapes and kills. Forget everything else. That's all that needs to be said. If you agree with that, you agree with it. If you disagree with it, you disagree with it. But that is it, guys. There's nothing else to see here. Now, would it be possible to change the SBMM system to be more skill-based? Well, over time, all he has to say to this, he doesn't have to do the analogy. Just leave that out. Just could delete that. Forget it. Don't even put that out there. This is where everything, like when you do that, it just made it way worse. And I understand this. I'm just saying, I'm looking at this from 5 days in the future, guys. Like this happened 5 days ago. Like I said, I've had time to process this a little bit. This guy was asked this very, very difficult question in front of thousands of people that he had to give a very, very condensed answer to in a few seconds. So, like, of course it's not going to be the best. But if you boil down the answer after saying what is the best, why we measure it that way, how I just explained it to you, right? If you boil it down to its simplest form, its common denominator is, for skill, kills and escapes, okay? So we move on from that. We press fast forward. We move on. And what is the actual question? Would it be possible to change the SBMM system to be more skill-based? Now, further into the future, all this guy has to say, Patrick has to say, is be like, yes, we are working on things to make it better. We're going to add more things, whether it be perks, whether it be weights, whether it be, these things. We are going to try and include more things like hooks, how much time on gens, how much time on running the killer, blah, blah, blah. If you do end up running the killer for 5 gens and, your teammates escapes, you should be credited with some sort of at least a tie or something so you don't get penalized for that, blah, 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 blah. In order to make the system more accurate, if that's what the ultimate goal is, to make the system as accurate as possible, so that you should go against people. Which, by the way, it's not very accurate, because I can assure you it's not. Because if you just go watch Otstarva stream and watch him teach, I can't remember the guy's name right now, but I'm blanking on his name. Skrilla, learning how to play killer. The guy's going against people that have like thousands of hours. And I mean, maybe he's getting sniped. Probably that's exactly what is happening. But if that is like a normal thing, which I kind of think it is, by the way, that it is pretty normal. But it also is more normal, whereas I'm getting more and more better like survivors on average. Like on average, my survivors are better than they were before this system came into play, by the way. But anyways, I want to leave it short. I just wanted to boil it down for you guys as quickly as possible, and there you go. That's my answer.
But they should also count shots on goal too. A more skilled player takes more shots. And while that's certainly true, it's important to remember that shots lead to goals, which lead to wins. So you can kind of cut the middleman out there. And that's the key, right? Skilled play leads to...
So cut the middleman out. So that's what he's saying, okay? See what I'm saying? Cut the middleman out. We don't believe that what you do in the game matters. The only thing that matters is whether or not you escape, because that must mean you did all the gens. That must mean you got all the hooks. That must mean you got all the heals. It doesn't matter where you in particular got them, but did you escape at the end? that means you get accredited for all of that work, no matter if you did it or not. You could have been in the corner the whole time. Your 3 teammates did everything, and you all escape at the end. You run out with them, and you get accredited for that, right? Now, is that right? No, it's wrong. It is just, it's wrong. But if you can't make a system that is good enough that includes all of that, and this is your best form of getting as close to that as possible, well, I guess that'll have to do. And on average, like I said, I'm playing better survivors than I used to. As killer, and as survivor, I'm playing better killers than I used to. Well, maybe not. Actually, I think I kind of get more boosted killers than I used to, because I think it's trying to just put any killer in, because right now they have a killer problem. I think they have a killer shortage in which people are quitting the game, but that's a whole nother issue, and I think they should definitely reconsider this whole SBMM thing, because it may lead to the end of Dead by Daylight. At the end of the day, this may kill the game, and we don't know that for sure. Nobody knows, but if you look at the Steam charts, there seems to be a problem here, and we'll see over time whether or not this is to blame. But it seems like when everybody's talking about how trash the system is, like, you would think that there's something going on there. Me, in particular, if you want to know my opinion, I don't see a problem with it. I really don't care either way, to be honest. Whenever I go against the best of the best and I lose, it is what it is. I would rather not keep facing that team over and over again. So if I do get destroyed a couple of times in a row and my MMR lowers and I get to play some bad games for a little while, I'll take it. But yeah, yeah.
To wins. If they don't, are they really skilled plays? Right? If your skilled play doesn't get you to win, was it really a skilled play in the first place? Everything leads to the same place in DBD. Killing survivors, or the survivors escaping alive. That's what MMR predicts. The chances of the killer killing survivors or them escaping alive. And it is actually very good at doing that. However, we're looking at some improvements to the current system. An example to take is...
So, I'm just breaking it down, guys. I've already broke it down as simple as possible, but I'm going to continue to do so. It is very good at doing that. What is that? When you escape, your MMR goes up. When you kill everybody, or when you kill a couple, I don't even know how it goes on the killer side. We don't know the specifics. We do know some of the specifics, but whatever, anyways. Agree, disagree, that is the system. But this is just what it is. In their opinion, the best form of skill is to escape or kill everybody. That's it.
Is to take team results into account for survivors in addition to the personal results. This takes some time. We have to iterate on. There's lots of fun math, which I could again talk about forever. But we need to prove it out that it's working, that there's value in it, and correlations, so on. More details on that more details on skill-based matchmaking in general are actually in our last dev blog post as well.
Improve it out. So he said improve it out. And basically what he was saying there too, as well, to boil it down, is that we're gonna put out more stuff. So the simple the way to solve this with the community and the devs, this rift that I see, is they need to be more transparent. This whole being secretive about MMR it's not working for them, dude. It's really not. They're losing this battle. The community is pissed. They're getting more and more frustrated. They don't know what's going on. You don't necessarily have to give the ins and outs of MMR. Just give us numbers. Give us more numbers. Start Twitter posting every day, more numbers on maps, more numbers on, everything. Give us numbers that are relevant, that people want to see. Start giving those numbers, that transparency, so that people can have input, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be on the forums, anything where people can give input and you guys can make better decisions. Because right now, there is a huge rift, and this rift is going to continue to get worse. And if they don't do something about it, it could kill the game. There's people that are seriously going to be gone. These huge content creators like Otts and True Talent and all these other guys are going to be going on to play Elden Ring soon. Like, and this game is still like kind of going in a downward spiral right now. Like, Steam charts are down, other things are going down, like morale is down. There's a big rift right now. People are making memes about Patrick. You know, Dowsey got his Twitch shirt ripped away from him. You know, there's been other scandals like the NFT stuff, you know, like just petty stuff. Right, you know what I'm saying? Like, so they need to be much more transparent, at least on the MMR side, where all of this contention is, where all of this point of boiling up is. Why not be the most transparent you can be on numbers? At least, at the very least, numbers.
Okay. We have a similar question, not directly similar, but pretty close, from Jeff Philippe, who asks, why don't hooks count towards your rating?
Yeah, this is a great example of what I was just talking about a minute ago, in a specific case that we did consider and look at and think about quite a bit. The thing with counting hooks is that you end up with weird cases that don't make sense when you take it to its extremes. Say you're a killer who hooked every survivor twice, but none of them died. If you count those hooks towards your rating, then you can easily end up in a situation where that scenario counts as a win, like moves you up the standings, but that feels weird. Did you really win?
Okay,
Should your rating go
let's rewind
up
this back
and
a
make
little
your
bit,
face,
okay?
and look at and think about quite a bit. The thing with counting hooks is that you end up with weird counts into account for survivors in addition to the personal results. This takes some time. We have to iterate on. There's lots of fun math, which
Jeff Philippe, who asks, why don't hooks count towards your rating?
Okay, let's focus in on the first few seconds of what he says here, okay?
Yeah, this is a great example of what I was just talking about a minute ago, in a specific case that we did consider and look at and think about quite a bit. The thing with counting hooks is that you end up with weird cases that don't make sense when you take it to its extremes. Say you're a killer who hooked every survivor twice, but none of them died. If you count...
Boom, that's all you need to know. None of them died. Simple as that. In this guy's eyes, nobody died. So therefore, no skill. So therefore, no increase in MMR. You didn't kill anybody. So therefore, you're not good at the game. That's what this guy sees. And it's not that he sees it that way. It's that he believes that this system is the best system for skill in the game. That's what he believes. I'm just telling you what he believes, guys. I'm just telling you what this guy believes, the lead designer of Dead by Daylight. Okay? He believes that the best indication of skill is killing everybody, or however that is determined in terms of math on the MMR or on this SBMM side, right? That is the best indicator of skill, is how many people you have killed. How many people at the end of the game are dead. And I think it's like, what, game time or something like that? We all know this, guys. Like, it's not a big deal. You can disagree with him. That's fine. And I disagree with him, guys. I disagree with him. But I'm just saying, I think hooks should definitely count over kills. But that's just me. He doesn't think so. He wants to make it as simple as humanly possible. I don't know why, but that's how he wants it. He wants it as simple as humanly possible, and that kills counts as skill. And in his opinion, it makes the math easier. It makes everything easier. And for him, he thinks it's an accurate system. There you go.
Those hooks towards your rating, then you can easily end up in a situation where that scenario counts as a win, like moves you up the standings, but that feels weird. Did you really win? Should your rating go up and make you face stronger opponents, even though all of the survivors got out alive? Probably not, right? That's like an obvious moment of like, it doesn't really compute. It also doesn't make sense for the survivor.
Probably not. It doesn't really compute. So in his eyes, he doesn't see a solution. Now, I don't know, guys. I'm just spitballing here, okay? This is how I'm reading it 5 days later, in my opinion. You can disagree. That's fine. That's what we're here for. We're here to have a conversation. And I'm trying to look at this from a way that can be informative and explain. So in his eye, like, okay, so let's listen again.
If you call that a killer win, that would mean the survivor hooked every survivor twice, but none of them died. If you count those hooks towards your rating, then you can easily end up in a situation where that scenario counts as a win, like moves you up the standings, but that feels weird. Did you really win? Should your rating go up and make you face stronger opponents, even though all of the survivors got out alive? That probably not, right? That's like an obvious moment of like, it doesn't really compute. It also doesn't make sense for the survivors. If you call that a killer,
That doesn't really compute. That's all you need to know. He's looking at it from a purely computer. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's looking at it from a number standpoint. That's it. That's all he's looking at it from. He's looking at it from his system that he thinks is the best system, and that system is kills and escapes. Point blank, period.
win, that would mean the survivors lost, but they all got out alive. So that feels weird to call that a loss on the survivor side, unless you start saying that everybody in that situation wins. And then as soon as you can have everybody in a game winning, you get some really weird math, some really crazy stuff starts happening really, really fast. So that's part of why we boil it down to kills and escapes as a proxy for good play in the game. It solves all those problems, and it solves a whole bunch of other ones that I'm just not going to get into now because I think we have like one or two other questions to get into.
It solves all of those problems, meaning mathematical problems, meaning data, meaning whatever they're collecting that they look at, that they deem to be the best way to balance this game. That's it. That's it. And the best way to balance this game is SBMM, kills, and escapes. Point blank, period, with math and whatever math that they're using. Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, one of the trickiest parts of a system like this is that you need a clear win and loss. Because if both sides can win, you end up in a situation where ranks just endlessly climb, and then eventually the matchmaking system can't really give you a match because everyone's at like some astronomical rating. Okay, so getting into a completely different question, we have a question from Pulsar.
So what Peanuts said was like something about astronomical rating, and I don't know if there was any like, I don't know if he actually has any insight on that or if that was just like a quick off the cuff comment. But that shouldn't have anything to do with it. An astronomical rating should mean nothing, unless they want to keep numbers low for some strange reason. I don't know. Maybe they do, but the only thing that I could read into that what Peanuts said is about the long wait times or matchmaking times where Dowsey was waiting for like absorbent amounts of times, and like for his because he played like Twins, and Twins is the least played killer in the game, but also does really good at high MMR, and you know what I mean? Like it was added it's extremes, and that's what they talk about when they talk about the extremes and how that is a problem. Like Patrick was mentioning something about extremes, and once things start to get to their extremes, then they start to have problems, and that would be with their math and their SPMM system that they deem as the most accurate system for skill in the game.
But yeah.
Yeah, I figured.
So the next thing they do, well, they start to show numbers, and like as soon as they start to show numbers, like I'll bet the chat lit up. And like every video I've watched, this was the highlight of the video in terms of like how they felt about certain things, seeing these numbers. And like I said, I agree. There should be more transparency. Give us more. You know, this is just like the lowest hanging fruit. This is like a dog who just sat for the 3,000th time and you're giving it a treat. Like, I already know how to sit, you know, we already know this stuff. Why don't you give us more things that are more in depth? It doesn't even have to necessarily really say or mean anything. It just, you know, we want to see numbers so we have some sort of transparency. I know they don't want to give us a lot because they don't want us to know how the system works. Well, we kind of already do, right? It's boiled down at its simplest form, kills and escapes. But I know there are some modifiers in there for like how long the game is and stuff like that. So how deep can we go? You know what I mean? So yeah, start giving us more numbers, by the way. That would make things way better.
React to things and make changes without having to push something that we promised back. Question from Broken Bones. The issue of cheaters. Can we get an acknowledgement?
Cheaters suck.
So this part, I really like Patrick's answer. I really like his body language here. I really like everything that he does here. You can tell he's very passionate and feels very strongly about taking care of this problem in the game. And so I very much want to shed light on that because, you know, I want to give credit where credit is due and where criticism is put on, it needs to be put on. You know what I mean? Like, we need to be fair here. You know, we need to be fair.
Right? Cheaters suck. We all dislike cheaters. You guys all hate them. I hate cheaters. How
can you be so brave, Pat?
I know,
so brave.
right? Yeah, something so controversial yet so brave. But like, yeah, the thing is, the nature of cheats, hacking, right? That's where most of these cheats come from. That puts us in a bit of a bind as game developers. Anytime you talk about cheating or anti-cheating, you're providing information to the enemy. If you say you've prevented cheating in a certain way or around a certain mechanic, it's like a flare goes up. The cheating community responds by focusing on that specific thing, really looking at it hard and finding new ways to break the stuff that you've put in, finding new ways to cheat. It's an arms race, right? So please, please, please understand that when we are remaining silent about cheating, it's often happening in order to break this cycle, right? In general, we're constantly making small changes and tweaks and improvements under the hood to fight back on cheating. We just don't talk about it for all of those reasons.
Yeah, in this upcoming release, we have some changes going in to fix that as well, or fix a couple instances. The reason why we don't go into specifics in the patch notes is because, again, we don't want to, put a target on like, this is what we fixed, go break it again. Follow-up question, very similar as well, from Epic Warhawk. We have any chance for a new anti-cheat system?
So for this one, we're actually going to be changing the, I think it's the EOS is standing for Epic Online Services version of EAC to eventually support the Steam Deck. But we've no plans for a new system beyond that.
Yeah, just a quick note. There's work to be done within the game itself, not just on the anti-cheat. It's also on us to fix those vulnerabilities as they come up.
So to dig in a little bit on this, I don't know what they were talking about with the Steam Deck, but if they're looking at some sort of like global anti-cheat that includes new software that is included on the new Steam Deck, that's a positive. Like, that is going to be the latest and greatest in terms of anti-cheat. So if they do decide to remove the old anti-cheat, and when this Steam Deck releases and everything goes live with that, I don't know, dude. I could be totally wrong. I'm just trying to read into and try to possibly give an explanation for this. Because this wasn't really clear to me. I mean, you guys can feel free to let me know if I'm wrong on this. But it didn't seem like he was ruling out a new anti-cheat. So when the new Steam Deck rolls out, which is a very revolutionary product, I've heard a lot of good things about the Steam Deck. A lot of people really, really like it. Like, Linus talks about it all the time and how the software on it is really good and all this other things. And so it's going to be the latest and greatest. So if you look at that, there's like some sort of like global anti-cheat that is like super new, super up to date, super top of the line, then that's good thing. That's only good things for us and for Dead by Daylight. Okay, guys, so the purpose of this video was to really dig in 5 days later on some of the most hottest points of contention in the dev Q&A. 5 days later, I wanted to dig in and really look at it as unbiased as I possibly could from my perspective. Just, guys, I'm frustrated, okay? Like, when I'm explaining what they're explaining, but just trying to do it better, to make it as simple as possible so that everybody understands, because he just did a terrible job explaining it. And by the way, I'm not, like, trying to attack him. I'm just literally just saying these things. I'm not trying to be mean or hateful or harassing or anything. I'm only just trying to explain things so that people understand. Because, You know, like people get, you know, like there's a lot of videos out there where people are frustrated. And I feel like the frustration is very much warranted. You know, like I'm frustrated too. But I think we need to dig in a little bit more and just really try to explain things so that more frustration doesn't just build on top of more frustration. That's not a good way to solve things and make things better. You know, like, and then when you start doing that, like, we aren't looking at things from a clear perspective. We're looking at things in a frustrated perspective, and it's kind of hard to explain things. And not only that, but we're also like putting our emotions and the way we feel and our biased opinions in over an actual like educated perspective. You know, like people can have their opinions and people can feel certain ways, and all of those points are valid 100%. You know, just because I'm making this video and doing it in my way and explaining things in my way, and I feel explaining it so that people can understand in my way, doesn't mean that other people that have made their videos are invalid. They are very valid criticisms. I agree with a lot of them. I understand the frustration. I agree with the frustration. I am also frustrated, but I also want to put out a video like this 5 days later, digging in, really just digging into what they actually said and trying to make it as clear as possible. Whether or not you agree, whether or not you disagree, that is besides the point. This video is to pretty much educate and hopefully, you know, provide a little bit more of an understanding to how things were explained. Because when I watched it, I was frustrated, angry, mad, all of the emotions, and I didn't understand a damn thing. And I came away with no information that led me to, you know, be any more like positive or, you know, like, I don't know, like good, you know, good about the future, you know. So I can't think of a word that describes things better. But yeah, that's what this video is about, guys. I hope that you really enjoyed it. If you did, maybe leave a like or even a comment at the bottom just letting me know how you feel. If you think my approach is valid, if you think my approach is stupid, if you think my approach is unwarranted, if you think my approach is I don't know, like in a way biased. I completely understand why you would think that. I'm just trying to explain it so that people who are coming in and really generally confused as to why things work the way they do and why things weren't explained a bit more clearly will understand. And so, guys, I will see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye.